Dude gets his entire dirty laundry aired online because he was a good date. A woman having a personal preference apparently makes her a villain. And the Today I Screwed Up story where a victim of assault has been considered the actual a-hole. Hello my snacks, welcome back. It's been a little bit, but I'm glad to see you all. Some quick stories to read today, so let's dive in. So this first story with an update is beautiful because this man genuinely comes across as a great first date to this partner, and what does it reward him with? Being considered a vile, untrustworthy piece of schmidt. He was too great. No man's like that. That's impossible. He has to be a cheater. A woman I'm dating posted my picture to an online cheaters page. So I met Danielle on a dating app, and we immediately hit it off. Conversation was super easy for us, so we swapped numbers and spent the next 2 weeks texting and talking on the phone. I explained early on that I want to take my time because not only am I looking for something serious, but also have work commitments the next few months. I work in tech product sales, which can be very busy and also involve me leaving the city for a few days at a time. She said she understood and was also looking for something long-term. Great! We met at the weekend before Valentine's and had a nice restaurant date, followed by dessert and coffee. We finished with a kiss, and I walked her back to the car. It was definitely the best date I've been on since my last relationship. The next day, I called her to say I was looking forward to seeing her again and would plan something when I get back. I live in a major North American city, and from the 15th to 17th, I was booked 3 hours away for an on-site client meetings. I told her about this and let her know we'd keep in touch. Hello, woman, I've been dating for maybe 2 times. I am doing this thing for work reasons.
Okay, you must be cheating on me then.
What?
Yeah, we've dated a few times, so therefore you're definitely cheating if you don't give me every single hour of your days.
On the Friday I'm due to get back, I get a message from a close female friend asking who I ticked off. I have no clue what she's talking about. She sends me a screenshot of my photo on what looks like a Facebook page and tells me it's a private group where women call out men for cheating. It's called Are We Dating the Same Guy? And this particular group is just for people from my city. In the screenshot, multiple people are posting under my picture with mostly harmless comments like, "Oh, I went on a date with him years ago. He was okay." But there were others like, "PM me for the tea." And one woman said,
"He's an angry a-hole. Stay away for your safety."
Now, because it's Facebook, I instantly recognized her name as someone I went on a date with last summer who I had to block after she repeatedly tried to sell me her cat. Absolute lunatic. A few things about me. I am single, I have never been married, and my last relationship was over a year ago. I am very selective, and Danielle was the first date I'd been on since the end of summer. I am also a very private person. I don't use social media, and I don't kiss and tell. The fact that my photo is on this site is mortifying. What makes matters worse is when I got home, I started getting texts from a bunch of other people I know either laughing at me or calling me a womanizer. As of now, I'm aware that several female friends have seen it. One coworker, my sister, and a woman I know who lives in the same building as me that excitedly grabbed me when I was leaving this morning to tell me,
"I saw you on that Facebook group."
Apparently, it's a lot more popular than I realized. Now, before you get skeptical and think, okay, there's no way so many people in your city would recognize this specific group. He does explain later on that it was shared and advertised on podcasts and the radios, local radio shows, and unfortunately his post was the one most recent when everyone was suddenly creating traffic on that page. So with that said, let's move on. There's only one person who would have had the motivation to do this, so I called Danielle on the weekend and asked her. Initially she denied it, but after some prodding, that flipped to apparently her friend posting it. Why? Because a few of them had gotten tipsy together on Valentine's, as they're all single. My name came up after her friends asked why she wasn't with me that night after the great date she told them about. Apparently, me not being around as I was leaving early the next morning for work was suspicious, as was the fact that we'd been talking for multiple weeks, but she'd never seen my place. She gave them a pic I used on the dating app, and one of them posted it. She told me she was sorry, but that I seemed too good to to be true. Her last relationship ended due to cheating, and she wanted to make sure I wasn't married or in a relationship. I told her I needed some time to think and would be in touch. Wow, I love this defense. Wow, bro, you're really strong, but I don't know if I can trust you to spot me at the gym. So to test your strength, here, let me shoot you.
Whoa, hey!
That was Saturday. We've been silent until today, where I woke up to dozens of messages from her saying things along the lines of,
I'm so sorry. I'm so angry with myself for doing this.
and then the real truth. It was her that posted it. She wanted to come completely clean and apologized for lying, telling me she panicked when I confronted her, but she wants it all out now. She sent me screenshots unprovoked of the personal message conversations she was having with women in the group about me. Aside from the one head case I mentioned earlier, there was nothing accusatory. But what I couldn't get over was how they were discussing me in such an open matter. It had nothing to do with whether I was single or cheating. It was stuff like, he took me to this restaurant, he drives this kind of car, this is what he's like in bed, this is what his place is like, this is how much money I think he makes. I would never talk about exes or people I've dated like that. And if a guy tried to talk to me about Danielle like that, I'd think he was a freaking weirdo and tell him to stop. My two closest female friends are divided on this, so I'm here for advice. One thinks that women need to protect themselves against predators and violence, and groups like this are necessary. The other is angry on my behalf because the presumption of men being posted to that group are that they're cheaters or sketchy. Otherwise, why would anyone even post them there? I really don't know what to do next. I've never had to deal with anything remotely like this before. I like Danielle, but it was one date. She also lied to me about it at first. This seems like a headache, and we've never even had intimacy yet. Like, is she going to get even more paranoid after that? It doesn't feel like we're compatible. This feels like the past 3 weeks of us talking have been one massive waste, and that actually stings because she's the first person I've really liked since my ex. Well, despite OP's clear desire to possibly still see if there's something possible there, Top Comments thinks you should show her the door. And of course, this sort of topic did bring about much debate in the comments, because while some argue this woman's insane, she's inviting judgment upon you by strangers online. It is also very fair to say that women have a lot more dangers to look out for in the dating field. Of course, I say this statistically. Yes, men can get drugged, assaulted, and all that stuff too, just as much as women can. But let's be real, you are more likely to experience that from men than from women. So what stance do we take here? To argue she was in the wrong for just doing a background check, would that not be to also argue that women shouldn't be cautious and should just trust the men they're with? To argue that he needs to get over himself. She's got baggage from a previous relationship just like you. You need time to get used to someone. She needs to be certain you're not a cheating, deceitful piece of schmidt. Well, a few days later, OP returns with an update. To skim through a couple of the notes he's made based on the feedback he received, apparently he got a lot of DMs, people thinking he was someone specific that they personally knew, of which case no, but his favorite wrestler is named Brett, and so he doesn't mind if he's being mistaken for Brett. Giving the finger to those who think he's violating the sanctity of their girls-only club. Like, what is this? Is this a bunch of Hustler University Tate fans trying to parade around as women or something? Violated the sanctity of a Facebook group. Come on. I can understand a victim support group, but this is literally a group page about catching out cheaters and making blind judgments on photos online. This doesn't count as a place of sanctity. OP does dive into this a bit more, saying yes, he understands the necessity of safe spaces for women, of course, but this is not one of them. Let's be real. Of course, people wanted to know about the cat more. It had 3 legs and made it run around like a drunken sailor. While all cats deserve love, he just hopes the cat got away from her. As well as an interesting point on consent here, as while the OP did consent to the photo appearing on a dating app, using that photo and then putting it online to other spaces, he did not consent to. Which I think is a very valid point, though it's not necessarily pornographic or erotic in any way. I would still argue it is similar to that situation where a woman who is a model or artist would pose in some erotic outfit to their own personal Instagram, only for that photo to be shared on some sort of adult pornographic site. Like, yeah, you can argue that, hang on, I didn't consent for that to be shared in that way. But I leave that thought with you. Do you think that really is an equivalent comparison? And finally, as I mentioned earlier, him informing us of how everyone was suddenly finding out about this page because it was advertised a lot, especially around Valentine's Day. I decided not to pursue things with Danielle. She took the post down during our radio silence, but it mainly boiled down to just not seeing her in the same light anymore. I can accept that she is genuinely sorry, but I also know how I am, and it wouldn't be fair to either of us. This is supposed to be the honeymoon period. Everything is supposed to be light and cute. Now, it's just suspicion and resentment. Not gonna lie, that period between when we first started talking to when I went away on my trip was really great. I looked forward to talking to her. When I would see a text, I got butterflies. When we kissed, it felt electric. Some people said that what she did was such an obvious red flag, they were questioning why I was even hesitating. The reason is that I haven't felt like this in some time. My last relationship lasted 5 years, and after we broke up, I legitimately wondered if I could find that spark again. Especially after trying dating apps here and there and not having much luck finding the right person. I do want to feel that spark again and find my person, but holding on to something that already has these problems before it even starts is the wrong move. Instead, I'm simply happy I got to experience it. Now I know it's out there and possible again, just not with Danielle, but I'll be honest, I did wake up today thinking, hey, you never know. Maybe a couple months down the line, I'll think different and maybe we'll go grab a drink. And then I saw she texted me. To preface, before I left the city for work, she sent me a photo with a message, "Don't forget about me." It was her in a bikini on a summer beach blowing a kiss. She's quite, chesty. It's not exactly safe for work, but there was no nudity. I opened today's text, which reads, "Hey, I hope I'm not disturbing you, but I'd like to ask you to delete that picture I sent and do not share it with anyone." What the hell? I replied, "The only copy of that picture is in our chat thread. Do you seriously have this low an opinion of me?" To which she apologized and said she was just making sure. Fine. At first I was annoyed, but then I realized the most important thing. It was a reminder I'd made the right decision. So I made another and deleted her number. Now everyone online was first to point out just the beautiful hypocrisy of Danielle here. Danielle concerned about someone misusing a photo of her? Sorry for how things panned out. I was late to the party when you first posted. Wish you all the best. The irony is palpable. Yep, there are occasions where people act out first because they've been traumatized by someone doing something like that to them, and they go, "Well, they can't do it to me if I do it to them first." Luckily, this mentality can be helped with therapy, emphasis on can, if they just go to it. Yes, the irony is not lost on anyone. And it is a somewhat sad ending, though, to what could have been a potentially great relationship, but I do like their sort of hindsight about it. Just being happy they got to experience it. Most of the time we enjoy a movie because it ends, not because it keeps going on and on forever and we have to sit in that movie theater the entire, 80 years of our life to enjoy the spectacle. You coming across what was the red flag of this person doesn't mean that you sucked or failed to find someone decent. It just proves you have to double down now on your insecurities. Instead of not being invited over to your place within a few weeks, make them wait 3 years. Now over to Today I Screwed Up, where OP learns in the weirdest way that they live in someone else's head rent-free. Today I screwed up by not dating someone and becoming the evil character in a book. Back when I lived in the LA, I met a writer. Nice guy, hung out a bit. I didn't feel a spark, so I kinda just let it wither away. No animosity, but I think it hurt their feelings. The next year, a friend says, "I'm reading this new book. Do you know an author named..." Maybe? Worried my friend had dug up some trash on me and wondering how in the heck they had done that. "Well, he named the bad guy in this book after you." I went and grabbed a copy and gave it a read. Yup, my rather unusual name was the bad guy. Now, when you Google my name, you get a bunch of highbrow professional books I participated in, and a gay romance novel with an evil person with my same name. What a coincidence, I say now whenever it is brought up. Now look, as far as petty revenge goes for being rejected, this is definitely probably the most tame I've experienced. Jokingly pathetic of this man to really not be able to move on like this, but also kind of funny of a way to get back at someone by affecting their Google search results. And I say this as someone who, until they started working with MK, whenever you'd look up my name, you'd come across this thumbnail. This was like the first thing that would pop up. Maybe past Jack will think twice next time before saying yes to an acting role where the character is also named Jack and they talk about poop.
As I watched online, there's actually a fair amount of pooping that goes on during labor.
Comments on this are great though. I wish this would happen to me. I've always wanted a song written about me, even if it was trashing me. And I think I'd love it if it was in book form too. I realize not everyone would want this, but I think it's awesome. Just name your daughter Stacy. Everybody wants to be somebody's inspiration or muse until Miley Cyrus releases flowers on your birthday. Our next story has left people on polar ends, so it'll be interesting to get your own spin of things. Today I screwed up by not stopping my girlfriend from making things worse. Now just to forewarn those sensitive of it, there is an assault, the woman does get assaulted, she does call police, and the person gets arrested. But yet, despite that clear-cut case, many would argue that it was all her fault. Today we were at a friend's house, and let me just say right off the bat, my friend is mentally unwell. He is autistic, but we are aware he has problems controlling himself when he gets extremely angry. You need to be some kind of major a-hole to tick him off to the point he loses control, which, in our case, is rare. Now, he has never met my new girlfriend in the years we have known each other. They only met once, and that was it. She talked to him like he was a child, which I didn't know disturbed him. But we have made jokes that they will never get along because she is, how one would say, very argumentative. She turns everything into an argument and won't stop unless you keep quiet. Everything sets her off. So back at my friend's house, whenever he feels depressed or socially exhausted, he locks himself in his room. Which when he did, we didn't know why. So before I can talk to him, my girlfriend went and bashed the door and yelled at him for being rude and threatening to call the police on him. We told her to just let us handle it. Friend opens the door and allows us in. Turns out he was just drained, depressed, and socially drained, so we told him to relax and breathe before leaving. Well, guess what happened next? Girlfriend went inside his room and asked him what was wrong. He explained to her what he told us, but she acted like she didn't understand, and then drops on him that we can't be friends if he keeps acting like this. My friend talked back and told her how she is making no sense and brought up what she told him about how she also gets depressed. But my girlfriend told him that he needs to stop using reverse psychology. Friend then tries to explain that he was not using that, just trying to make sense of why she is mad. But my girlfriend doesn't want to listen and kept talking over him. It drove him to a rage, and he hit her. We had to pull him away, and she kicked him in the stomach. When we left the room, girlfriend tried to run back inside to fight, but we had to hold her back. She called the police, and now my friend is in jail for assault. I am both disappointed and fed up with my friend. So basically with the top comment, they're immediately targeting the girlfriend here. Basically broke in and entered your friend's private space, verbally harassed him until he lost control, and then she continued to try to enter his personal space after he hits her to physically fight him further. Many would share the sentiment that, yeah, you should dump this woman. She clearly tried to make this all about her, didn't care to listen to him about his situation or reasoning. That said, there are other comments that argue that, well, it doesn't matter what someone says to you, this doesn't give you the legitimate excuse to beat the hell out of them. My personal speculation comes to the case that I feel like there has to be more going on between them both. That just by him going up to his room, she would go and bash the door and yell at him. I'd argue there's some more context we're missing here. But let's assume the missing puzzle piece. Maybe he said something to her that really annoyed her the wrong way. Regardless of that, that doesn't excuse you to then barge on that guy's personal space and just genuinely instigate him into reacting to your consistent degradation. I often argue that just because we understand you doesn't mean we excuse you, and I stand by that here. I understand he hit her, I don't excuse him hitting her, but I definitely predominantly understand him hitting her. It's hard to say. I mean, I don't see in anywhere the comments OP mentioning that the girlfriend was fully aware of just how heavy his autism affects him in this way. And it's nice to know that the friend here doesn't use his autism as any excuse. It's a unique circumstance. Because again, while I do agree this whole case of, yeah, your girlfriend was basically poking a lion with a stick, the most he should have escalated to was just pushing her out of his room, not literally hitting her to the point where they'd have to pull him away. But like I said, it's a conflicting situation, kind of everyone sucking here, so to speak, so I leave those thoughts with you. For now though, we'll end today's stories there. Thank you as always for watching. As always, make sure you're glugging down on that water and just swallowing the entire lake nearby. Consume it all, it is your prize, you deserve it. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.